much do you practice? How much do you practice? How much do you practice a day? Quite a lot. Q&A part 2. Hey friends, welcome to the second part of my Q&A video. Okay, let's get cracking. How much do you practice? Practice. Hey Marijke, tell me, how much do you practice? This is without a doubt the #1 most asked question. So let's start with that one. You have probably guessed that I practice quite a lot. Otherwise my progress would not be what it is now. I try to practice every day, but I mostly get to 6 days a week. And on a practice day, I practice between 1 and 2 hours. I don't practice 2 hours straight, of course. I mean, my arms need a break, but also my head needs a break. So I think I put my violin down every 20 to 30 minutes or so. Then I take a short break, 5 minutes, and then I get back to it. Is the violin your first instrument, or have you played other instruments before? I have played other instruments before. When I was 12 years old, I learned to play the recorder. Well, we just call it a wooden flute, block flute. The girl next door, who was my friend back then, she learned to play the recorder in school. And I saw her playing songs and I was like, I want to learn that too. She had 2 or 3 lesson books. She let me borrow them and I've worked them through, or at least 2 of them. I don't really like it, but the recorder is actually the easiest instrument to get started on. So before I was taking violin lessons, I was playing on my husband's old keyboard. And I've worked my way through 2 piano books. I found the channel of the Online Piano and Violin tutor. I bought the 2 piano books and I've played my way through both of them in about 9 months' time, which was actually really fun. And then there is the Ocarina. My brother used to play the Zelda games on his Nintendo. I'm not that much of a game nerd, but when I discovered last year that ocarinas are actually real instruments and are not just made up for the game, I really wanted to get my hands on one and just give it a try. What's the best way to practice? This is the point where I have to give away that I'm actually planning on doing a how to practice video. So I'll keep it short for now. I have 2 important tips. 1. Practice in full-on concentration mode. Focus is so important. And number 2, practice songs in small bits. When you practice a piece, don't play it all the way through again and again and again, but work on small bits. Sometimes I'm just practicing 2 measures for 10-15 minutes until it sounds right. What is a mistake you still make? It used to be a bent wrist, not like this, but like this, but I've fixed that by now. When a piece of music I'm practicing requires long bow strokes, I'm not always bowing straight. But it really improves the sound when you do, so practice on that. Can you learn the violin on your own? By being inspired by someone like you? Well, yes and no. Based on what I have seen in progress videos, and based on my own experiences, I would say yes, you can learn to play the violin on your own. I mean, there are plenty of online lessons, resources, information on the subject. Without a teacher, you can get the basics down. You will be able to play nice songs, but no, you won't develop proper technique to do really difficult stuff. To put it short, without a teacher, you can learn to play decently, and with a teacher, you can learn how to play beautifully. Yeah. I think that kind of sums it up. I'm really happy that I have a violin teacher. He sees things that I would not see if I was self-learning. I have clear goals. I know what to work on, what to focus on. I wouldn't give him up for the world. How many lessons do you get? I have weekly lessons on Monday evening, and one lesson is 30 minutes. Do you have any advice on reading sheet music? When you first learn to play the violin, you simply start with 4 open strings, G, D, A and E. So those are the first 4 notes you will learn, and gradually you will add more notes. It is very handy to know how to read sheet music before starting to learn an instrument, but I think it's no problem to learn it at the same time. You'll get the hang of it soon enough. Do you have any tips for self-learning beginners? And this is a subject I'm also planning on doing a separate video of. But I have 2 tips for you. 1. Get a decent violin. Don't buy a violin that costs 50 euros or so. It's probably just a wooden box with 4 strings. And it won't produce a nice sound. And when you are beginning, you won't produce a nice sound anyway. So when you suck and your violin also sucks, it will double suck, so to say. So when you get a good violin, or at least a decent one, it will help you in your progress. Number 2, don't play with fingers before the first month is over. I see progress videos all the time in which people play with all 3 or 4 fingers on the first day. Don't do that! I played only open string songs and exercises for the first month of playing. I didn't have to focus on the fingers. So the basic stuff, bowing and posture, was actually not too hard because I was focusing on just those things. After that, adding the first and second finger wasn't that hard at all because I was sticking to the very basics for the first few weeks. Trust me on this, it works. What method do you use? I have a very old-fashioned violin method. It was written in the 60s or so. It looks very boring, but for me it works. I'm using the violin method by Louis Metz. It doesn't come with pretty pictures nor any theory. It's just filled with exercises. My teacher actually uses this method for most adult beginners. It also contains songs that can be played with 2 violins or with a violin and a piano. And now the last question about learning to play the violin. Why don't you use vibrato? Simply because I haven't learned that yet. I really want to learn vibrato. I think it can even make Twinkle Twinkle Little Star a huge tearjerker. Lots of people who are self-learning start with vibrato way too soon. My teacher will tell me when the time is right, so I'll just wait for that.